Hey everybody, it's Patty Dobrovolsky with Up Your Creative Genius and Creative Genius U, the equation that makes you great. All right, we're up to week 24, I think, or week 23. It's amazing. We're just flying by and through all the material. We've been focusing on outcome. And I want to talk about how when you set yourself up for a certain kind of outcome, and then, if you were working for a company and you had outcomes set, they'd be against a timeline, you'd figure out when you'd achieve them by, and it'd be all set in stone. But the truth is, when you're building your business or flipping yourself online, or you're writing a book, or you're coming up with some creative idea, the timeline becomes very flexible because it's based on when you have the attention span and also the will to do the work, the desire to do the work, the imagination to come up with the idea, and then the drive to get it done. But that process is iterative. And so sometimes the timeline can change. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that you have this inner dream and the timeline sometimes will adjust itself based on what you're learning and how you're growing. And even the outcome shifts to what you thought you wanted becomes something completely different. And Christine Kane, in her book, Soulsourced Entrepreneur, writes a beautiful piece around this. If you haven't picked up that book, somebody gave it to me, Kimberly Young. Thank you so much for sending it to me. Love this book because she's talking about, she has a manifesto of 8 things really for you to really have soul kind of results. And one of the things that she talks about in there is the idea that of your goal achievement process, that she says often we start at point A, which we call in Creative Genius world, the current reality. And we have a dream, which is point B. And that is the desired new reality in my framework. And she said the way that we sometimes do is that we set out that thing and then we sprint as fast as we can to grab it and get it. And it's a gimme mentality. And we get stuff and things and people and rich and, fat and, overeat and do all kinds of wild things in the getting of these things. And that part of what we can do is shift our perspective from that to realize that it's the point between point A and point B, this part, that is the part that I love. And I think many of us, we undervalue the process part. The process part is where we grow and change. And when I think about all of you that I've been talking in these 20-minute calls with, you've changed what you've done in so many ways. You've learned about technology, you've learned about sales, you've gotten on the phone with people, you've flipped your business to be an online thing. You learned all about ClickFunnels and stuff like that. And no matter what it is that you're working on, it's imperative that you learn to love the process, because the process is where the expansion occurs. And how do you keep yourself expanding? Well, you have to understand that it's part of valuing that and seeing that this will help your monitor who's on this time schedule. If you say to the monitor, hey, I love this process. Yes, am going to learn to hire the right people. And yes, I am going to understand how to change something in my website or to write a blog post that people will actually read. And that part of the process is going to happen. And it may slow the timeline down a little bit, but where are we running to, right? Especially now in COVID, there's lots of time for you to really explore and learn and grow. And so I have a couple of suggestions for how to expand your relationship with your creative genius, which I think talks to you in that time of process. It's the one that helps you, guides you, is just waiting to give you information. And one of them, I spoke a little about the whiteboarding the last time that we were meeting this way in this video. This time, I want to talk about putting your computer in front of you, having it open to a new Word document, and then asking a board of advisors to give you some advice about a product or something that you're moving on, some kind of intention that you've set for yourself, to give you guidance as to what you need so you can move forward and do the things that are the next in line for you to be able to actualize that dream. And so what I do is I sit down, I open my computer, I ask a question right into it, close my eyes for a second, and then imagine that board of advisors and let them tell me. And I just type, and I don't spell check, I don't look at what I'm typing, I just type it out. That's one way to get information. Then I'll sort through it and see what's in there. Are there any clues in there? Another way is sometimes I find myself asking, having to answer a yes/no question. Like, is this good for me? Yes, no. And I have in the past used a literal pendulum for things, some yes/no things, because I saw somebody do it once and I thought, that's cool, I want to learn how to use it. But now I don't need to go and get something. I can simply use my body. Your body is innately talking to you at all times. So if you stand still and you ask yourself to show you what is yes, you can see that when I even say yes, my body will lean forward. And if I want to know, it's going to lean me back. Now, you might have a side-to-side thing, but you can test this. You can say, my name is Patty. Yep, that's pretty much my name. My name is Bob. Nope, not in this lifetime. My name is not Bob. So these things let me know I'm on track, and then I'll ask something about food that I might eat or a decision that I might make, just to see, like, am I aligned all the way through with that? Is that the right thing for me? So that's another fun thing to try. And then the third is just for you to take time to relax. You can square breathe to get yourself in touch, which is where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, like that. Or you can simply rest. Last year this time, I got a huge, I don't know what I had. Maybe I had COVID. I don't know. I had this really high fever. I'd never had a fever that high since I was a kid. And I could not get out of bed, no matter what. I tried, nope. I couldn't. 5 days, I was laying in bed, couldn't get out. 5th day, I could get out a little bit, but when I tried to work, I couldn't focus at all. So boom, back to bed. After a week, I was able to get up. And at that point, I'd been laying in bed simmering on ideas and kind of dreaming and maybe watching some bad TV and reading magazines and books and just filling myself with all kinds of new things. And then I go out to my studio, and suddenly, something I'd been working on for a long time all came into place. I was able to also create a vision for my next year. I got really clear on what I needed to do to move a book forward. There were all these different ideas that came in, and part of that, I believe, is because I had been resting. And this is a time for us to rest and reflect. Take advantage of this kind of, break in the status quo to reformulate yourself for the new normal, whatever it turns out to be, so that you're resilient and strong and that you love the process of it. Come to appreciate the process of being in what I call the cereal box of your house. Like, I always feel like when I'm on Zoom, I'm in a cereal box and I'm on the cover. Some days I'm great, and some days I really need a different flavor, like Cocoa Puffs or, whatever. So spend your week this week examining what's the process that you're using right now, and how much do you appreciate it? How could you appreciate it more? And let your creative genius come through to inform you so that you really achieve the outcome to the infinite power. Because the outcome is an ever expanding thing. That's what infinite power means. It's expansive, just like you are. And write me something about it, or, call me on the phone or send me a text. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Until next time, up your creative genius. Let's do this.